This is the Dental Up Podcast, your daily source for insights from dentists and leaders in the industry. Brought to you by Keating Dental Lab, a full-service, award-winning dental lab that is here to add value to your dental practice. With high-quality restorations, friendly, reliable service, the best products and prices, come experience the Keating difference. Visit KeatingDentalLab.com for details.
Dr. Parrish, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the Dental Up Podcast.
Good morning, Bob. How are you guys doing out in California?
We're good. I admire your state. I've been to Texas now twice in the past 6 months, and I've had a great time both times I've been there. Tell us about your day. It's 10:30 where you are, and I know Fridays, you just told me you don't work. And tell us what you're doing today in the office.
Man, it's a great day. We actually had our first high school football playoff game last night, and so we had to travel about 2 hours to hit that, but we won 44-0, so the ride home was quite pleasant.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And then
Congratulations.
we had to drag the kids out of bed this morning because they weren't home till 1 or 2 o'clock, and got them off to school. And then I came into the office, and generally we don't see patients on Fridays, and our team doesn't come in on Fridays. So I generally come in Fridays, usually from 8 to 12 or so, and knock out admin duties, pay bills, accounting, answer emails, communicate with labs, that sort of stuff.
It's the business side that's so important. And doing the clinical procedures, you guys are so skilled and so up to speed with technology. And I love what you and your wife are doing right now with us. But yeah, the business side is challenging. And I think that's where a lot of dentists struggle. And I think that's why a lot of dentists feel the pressure to sell to a DSO.
Yeah, the business side is definitely an interesting part of it. I think I come from a family, and my wife comes from a family of entrepreneurs. Both of our parents had their own businesses. We're fairly equipped, at least rudimentary ways of running a business and starting a business and all that. But the challenge for most dentists is that we're the engine that drives the practice. We're what drives the income. And if we're not sitting chairside, either talking with patients, consulting with patients, or working on patients, then money's not being generated. So at some point, you do have to run the business. And I think a lot of dentists absolutely struggle with that. And I think there's probably, for a lot of dentists, there's a value in DSOs. My wife has mentioned that had she not been married to me and had two of us, that she probably wouldn't be interested in running a dental office because she's happy doing the dentistry, but sometimes the HR and admin and all that kind of stuff can wear you down.
Oh, that's absolutely true. I hear that from so many of our Keating clients and that's the common theme is they love interacting with patients, love treating patients, love the clinical side, but the business aspect is a grind really. And right now, honestly, in this country, in this economic environment, in this business environment, yeah, dealing with employees is tremendously challenging. I mean, we have 125 here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're lucky. We have a really talented, strong team. We only have 7 employees, but we are also lucky in that Jennifer and I are able to work in a way that we allow ourselves time to run the business side, and we have a partner. I think the dentists who are out on their own really have to find strong team members, especially admin and front office people, because you just can't do it all if you're by yourself.
No, a solid team behind you, and sometimes that team is actually the face of your practice. When they go back to the chair, they've they've got you in their mouth most of the time, and they can't speak or interact with you. And having a really personable front desk, office manager, what have you, receptionist that's smiling and is pleasant and interacts at a high level with the patients really does make a difference.
Yes, sir. I think another thing that gets overlooked quite a bit nowadays, we seem to sometimes be in this race to find the cheapest lab and the cheapest CPA, and that we're going to outsource our advertising to an online service. And I think when it comes to a team, I think it's quite often overlooked in finding a good quality lab, a CPA that you can communicate with. I think that's one area that a lot of dentists shoot themselves in the foot, in that they try to cut corners in certain areas like that. And then in the long run, it probably does cost a lot more money for trying to cut those corners.
Cheap is fine, but cheap is cheap. I'd rather have a business partner or form a relationship with somebody that's going to add value. And that's been our biggest thing here. That's really how the lab was founded, is we want to be your business partner. We want to be able to add value to your practice. We want to be able to eliminate a headache. When you send us a CIRAC file on a Monday, you know we receive it. You can see that it's logged in. You can see that we're working on the restoration at the various steps. And we want to be an extension of your practice, really.
Yeah, and the line of communication, I think, is something that's really important for us. And look, on a day-to-day basis, a single unit crown, do I want to talk to a lab tech about that? No, not at all. But a 6 unit veneer case, or a case where we're opening up a vertical or doing a full mouth case, or a complex implant fixed removable case, those are the kind of things that I think it's really comforting and really important to have a lab and a team that you can trust and that you can lean on, and that you can say, hey, Bob, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts on this? What is there another way to do this? And I see that even more as we're moving into the digital age, because I found that learning the processes and the workflows is one of the challenges of digital, and having a lab and a team that's experienced with that is very helpful.
I agree 100% with what you said there. And it's most issues in life. It's the communication at the high level that really sets us apart, sets you apart from the other dentists in your area, sets us apart with some of the labs, maybe some of the offshore labs that you can't communicate with. It's the communication and it's the problem solving that we want to be there for you, and we want to support you so that we can get these cases done successfully the first time.
So let me ask you this from the lab perspective. What are the biggest changes that you guys are seeing? Are you seeing a big influx of digital impressions and digital workflows, or is it still back old school impressions and stone models and whatnot? Where are we at with that from your side of the perspective?
It's definitely digital, and it's been a massive shift since the onset of the pandemic. I would say that right now we are doing about 55% of our cases digitally. We own 8 3D printers to print the models that you get your Emax crowns back on. It's crazy that we have 8 printers and we're still 3 days behind on the model printing. It's a massive change. I knew it was coming. I just didn't anticipate that it was going to be this wave really that was going to hit us so quickly.
About staffing and training on the dentist side, our training for that kind of stuff is actually pretty straightforward, because in most cases, once you get a little experience, a digital impression is easier and quicker than a conventional impression.
Correct.
What about you guys staffing up for all the tech and the people who have to design the crowns and print the models and all that? Have y'all had a challenge with that
It
area?
is. There's always challenges. We've had to cross-train individuals that used to make restorations with their hand and teach them the computer software, teach them the steps and the sequences of accepting a file, then saving the file, and then transferring it into, because we don't use the CIRAC design software, we use a 3Shape. So you've got to save the file in CIRAC, export it over to 3Shape, and then you've got to essentially put the STL file into what's called Model Builder, mark the margins, and then design the restoration. So there's a lot of steps. They can go very quickly for an experienced CAD CAM design technician, but we only have 5 of them. So we're now trying to break down the process and create more efficiency by having just the design technicians only do designs. So we're now taking people, because essentially the first couple steps are just data entry and moving files. So we've cross-trained people from our shipping department, because we're receiving fewer cases in through the mail, fewer impressions from UPS. So we're cross-training some people from the shipping departments for when you send us a scan, they print the attachment, they go to your account, they're able to log the case in, and in 10 minutes it can get over to the design technician. We're making some tweaks to our system here to improve our efficiency. We're not done yet. I want to do 7 or 8 new things as well, but yeah, we need to absolutely make the switch to an all digital environment.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you bring that up about the converting the files and whatnot, because that is the one area where I have seen some hiccups. And to for everybody to know, we have a Serona Prime scan. We scan in office, we don't mill. But I've found that a lot of the times when we upload files through the CREC Connect, we'll attach pictures and we'll fill out instructions. And it seems like sometimes we get restorations that the pictures that we attached weren't passed along or somehow disappeared, or specific things that were in the lab things. Sometimes there's some hiccups with that. And I wonder if that's a conversion issue or possibly just something with CREC. I know, I imagine that you guys have to deal with multiple different workflows with all of the different scanners out there today.
We have about six popular systems are available in the US right now.
So then you have to train all your people to do things 6 different ways, correct?
Yeah,
Pretty
that
much.
it's challenging. And this is my fault for not letting you know this sooner, but some of the issues like the photographs are better suited, better sent through our customer portal, because then it's a direct connection to the case. And yeah, some of these files are just in a language that we can't save and export into our RM software that the technicians and all of us here are using. So that's my fault. I'll walk you through how to do it slightly different when we're finished.
No, Bob, I don't think that's not a blame game or anything like that. I just think that it's a typical situation in the world that we live in, that all these companies have their proprietary software and their proprietary way of doing things. And I think not all, but I think a lot of companies put up walls to make you stay within their system. And if you work outside their system, they certainly put up speed bumps to make it a little more difficult.
Sure. And Serona CREC was historically known for that, but my hat's off to them. They have opened up their technology to many more people, and they're much more open to sharing their technology and systems and workflows. And it's just a couple speed bumps that I need to iron out here so that we can get all the information that you're sending to us bundled up into the case, and then the technicians and our QC team can view everything correctly. And I'll get that done for you.
Yeah. No, and like I said, it's not a major problem. It's just an occasional. And it's one of those things where you said too, where, it's a pain for us if it's we got to send the email from here and then we got to send the
Yeah.
case from here. And it's just one of those things where you have to work out the workflows. And then on our end, for us, it's always a matter of checks and balances. And what I mean by that is, okay, the assistant that worked on the case is going to be the one that's going to send the case out, but they have to come find the doctor to make sure that we've traced the margins correctly on the scan and that we've attached the files and that the verbiage is correct. It's just, I think it's with any new technology, we're still in the beginning stages, and the workflows are only going to get better and better as we move forward, as things start to integrate better, and as companies come in and start doing the work that you and I are trying to iron out.
That's right. Yep. And you touched on a brilliant point there, and it's often overlooked, but the margin marking. I cannot remember a case in the last 6 months that we've had a shorter open margin, because you're taking that step on yourself, and I really thank you for that.
I don't know if it's me or if it's this the software makes us.
Oh.
I don't know that I want to take credit for that. And then I hate to admit this, but 99% of the time my assistants trace the margin and they do a much better job than I do. And then I just look at it, and if I have any questions, they fix it for me. I can't take any credit for that. I'll have to lean on my team because they do a really good job at that kind of stuff.
Hey, but that goes back to having a strong team and having a team that's really on the same page, because your team members know their role and they're performing at a very high level. And that allows us to deliver successful restorations. It makes you more efficient. It makes us as a laboratory more efficient as well. So again, I thank you as the quarterback or architect for directing your business that way.
Good. So what's on the horizon of that? Are you guys getting into Keating as a lab? Are you going to be getting into guided surgery or any of the other areas of digital dentistry?
Yes, definitely. So number one for us in this past year was integrating the Dentsply Sirona method for digital dentures. And these are complete dentures, full arch digital dentures, using their Lucitone 199 system that's been validated for a CAD/CAM workflow. And the prosthesis is printed through a carbon printer which is phenomenal. It's the most expensive printer that's available in the US, the world, but it's a brilliant machine. The results are fantastic. Next year, we are going to make a much more significant leap into the guided surgery realm. And it was mainly, again, it was just because we didn't have enough employees. And we've got one super talented individual here. I know you've spoken with Bernie in the past. Bernie was really overworked. We needed to develop a team behind him so that Bernie, Steve, and we could really spend more time and focus on guided, because it is so important. We're doing about 8 to 10 of these full arch hybrid denture, implant retained dentures a month. And I see the need, and our customers, you included, have asked us to support on the planning, the pre-surgical workup and everything. So we are going to make that switch in 2023.
Yeah, that's absolutely an area. And I think I would say I'm probably not in the majority, but we all purchased a cone beam and it integrates beautifully with our scans.
Did
We
you get the
actually have,
CAD?
yeah, so we actually have we ended up getting the Sorona Axios. And so, yeah, we have the CAD software and enjoy it. I'm still learning it. But I'll be honest, it's one of those things where me personally, I don't want to spend 30 minutes designing, placing, and all that. I'd rather spend that time with my family
Oh,
or,
100%.
or going to a football game or a basketball game and then having someone else do the planning side of things and then looking it over once it's done and make sure that if we need any tweaks or anything like that, that we're good to go. And I think that's a real value that I think labs can add to for dental practices for sure.
And that's exactly the way we envision it. So we envision you sending us the scan and maybe an STL file or CDT file of this arch, and then we put the two together in the software. And you tell us how many implants and general areas that you would like to place it. And then we do the plan. Bernie will probably spend 20 to 30 minutes doing the plan. And then we'll have probably a 10 to 15-minute consultation. And it'll be either through Zoom or TeamViewer or Microsoft Teams, what have you, where we'll look at the images together. And then you'll click, or you'll tell us approve or move this or modify that, or I don't like the size or diameter of this implant, change that. And then we'll make the modifications, and then we'll give you back the file for final approval before we print the guides.
Yeah, I think that's a great workflow and definitely a service that me and I would think a lot of dentists would use. It's funny, the more I work with the CAD software, it's great. It's got a great user interface. It's getting to where it's pretty easy to place the implants and whatnot. But then as of right now, you're stuck sending it to CAD.
Yep.
Once you plan it and the turnaround is not great because I believe it comes from Germany and then pricing, obviously the cost is pretty pricey.
They're extremely high quality guides. Would you confirm?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't have any problems with their guides, and they've been great to work with. I've done several Zoom meetings with them, going over implant planning and whatnot, and so I have no complaints about them at all. But there's also a value working with the people that are going to make the final restoration, so that from the ground up, where we're starting and where we're finishing, and it's all in-house in one spot. It just makes life a lot easier, and it's just one less thing for something to fall through the cracks if you're only dealing with one entity and not two or three different entities.
Absolutely. It's more efficient. The communication is more clear. We plan the cases with the final restoration in mind, not just the restoration, but the type or design, whether it's going to be a screw retained or cement retained prosthesis or a bar retained prosthesis. If we have to use multi-unit or angle correction abutments, yeah, we really try to incorporate a lot of those thoughts and questions when we're doing a guided case.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, like I said, it's really exciting times from the clinical side of things because it's every month it seems like I'm more and more blown away with the things that we're able to do as far as the planning and the guides and the pre-making restorations and all that kind of stuff. It's an exciting time. There's definitely a cost of entry, and I know that's coming down, but I think it's well worth the cost by the time this all shakes out.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. You can wait a couple more years and get a scanner, but then that just means you're a couple more years behind everybody. And your comfort level with your prime scan is extremely high. I know that the scans that when I get the email that you sent us a scan, just like we did yesterday, I know it's going to be a great scan because you're accomplished in it. You're past the learning curve and we're going to have a successful result. But it doesn't happen by accident. It was a lot of hard work and effort on your part to get you and your staff trained on this, correct?
Honestly, I would like to tell you how hard we worked, but we literally started using our scanner, and within a week, our girls were taking pretty dang good scans. I think the biggest thing we've learned with the intraoral scanners is that you do have to prep a little bit differently. You definitely learn really quickly how humbling it is to see how crummy your margins have always been when you put them on the 30-inch screen or whatever and zoom in. That has been a very humbling experience, and I've gone through several new burrs and finishing burrs and all sorts of things. And it's one of those things where I feel like, man, every day I'm still like, I should have done that. Should have got that rounded. Should have got that smooth. But it's getting better and better.
The biggest thing I see is new customers want to use the technology as a shortcut. They don't view it as you're viewing it as a learning experience and making things better and going through the painstaking process of making sure margins are smooth and level and everything. We have rounded internal angles and everything like that. We have a lot of offices that just view the technology as a shortcut to taking impressions. And I always tell them that's the wrong approach. It is quicker than taking a physical impression, but you still need to follow the basic principles that you just explained. And that's fantastic.
Yeah. And like I said, that's the whole brunt of dentistry, isn't it? That you've got to get better every day. Just like anything else in life. If I'm doing dentistry 10 years from now, the same as I'm doing it today, then maybe it's time to retire. You
That's
know,
so funny. My father used to always say, so my father was a dentist and he had 50 years in practice, and his patients used to all, like the last 10, 15 years, were always asking, when are you going to retire? When are you going to retire? And he used to say, well, it's called the practice of dentistry. And when I perfect it, then I'll retire.
yeah, that's 100% true. And I think it's just one of those things where, like I said, the digital age has been humbling, but it's also been a little bit rejuvenating because it is fun to learn new things and learn to work through new workflows and new procedures and whatnot. Let me ask you this on the question of scanning. You mentioned something earlier. I did want to ask you. So the one issue I think we had early on, and we still get it occasionally with difficult patients, is that can you take if your scan takes too long and you get too many images, it seems like it gets a distorted scan. That's like the only real problem we've seen with scanning. Is that something that's real, or is that something in my mind that's not really the way it works?
No, that is 100% real. And what the software is trying to do, it's trying to superimpose data points and get like a best fit match. So the more data points you input into the system, unfortunately, you're going to get almost like a larger source of error because it's not able to fit all the data points correctly into the exact same location. Yeah, scans that take too long, it's honestly, it's just better just to delete it and start over.
Yeah, good. I'm glad I'm not crazy on that because I tell the girls sometimes when I look at the file size or on the Serona machine, you can actually, when you zoom into the scan, it starts to get a little triangulated, pixelated. I tell the girls, hey, we went too long here. And then that rolls into the second part of this, which be interesting to hear your take on this. We've been really happy when we scanned for partial frameworks because the fit has been really just spot on, as good a framework fit as we've ever had. What about the area of removables? Because you don't have a static tissue surface. Are you leaning more towards telling people, hey, let's just take physical impressions and then scan the impression? Or what's your take on that area of digital scanning?
If you would have asked me this last year, I would have said bypass a digital impression with CEREC and send me a physical impression. But to their credit, Serona's made a lot of really nice modifications. And the edentulous areas on the prime scan images and also their other scanners have really improved. We used to see a lot of data voids, particularly on the palate, that I no longer see on CEREC scans. And I know it's because either labs or customers have mentioned that's a problem. And they, to their credit, again, they've made the changes in their software and they've improved it quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, we do sometimes with someone with a really deep palatal vault. And then obviously sometimes on the lingual, obviously the floor of the mouth is not easy to capture because it's constantly moving. One workflow that we just sent in a case this week actually, where it was a distal extension on both sides for a partial. And basically we just sent it in and said, hey, go ahead and make the framework, mount the teeth, and then we'll do a wash and we'll pick up the vestibule and the hamular notches and everything with the wash. And then we're good to go. Great fit and a great framework, that kind of thing.
That's perfect because we've now adopted digital workflow for our cast frame partials where we can take your scan. Again, we import that into 3Shape and then we're designing the RPD frame directly from your scan. I've always been a big proponent of digital because it eliminates the two largest sources of error. And on the clinical side, that's always been impression taking. And on the lab side, it's always been pouring models. So by working in a digital environment, we've eliminated the two largest sources of error on both sides of the equation, and we get a better, more precise fit. So we're taking your scan, we're importing that into the removable suite, the removable design software module for 3Shape, and where the first function is survey, and it's identifying undercuts. And then you put on the type of design, you put on your major connector, and then you identify teeth where you want the rest seats. So it's a very systematic, stepwise process. And it really goes back to we're working with more accurate data at the onset, and we're going to get a better result. We're going to give it a much better final product.
So that kind of brings up a question to me when it comes to the design software, because it's interesting when you have an office like ours where we don't really do any design and we live out in Texas. And so it's not like I can drive down the road and visit you guys and see how things are going at the lab. On the design side of things, and this goes for crown and bridge as well as removable, does your design software, does it have alerts or indicators for things like this is too big of an undercut, or this Emax is not going to work because it's less than 1.5 or 2 millimeters? Is the software good at identifying that kind of error?
It is. It's extremely good at that. And then it comes down to the human that's operating the controls to recognize that and bring it up to a manager. We have controls at so many different levels, and we have all of our designs QC. Our CAD CAM manager walks up and down the rows and he's checking and he can see what's going to work and what's not going to work. We also have a very nice feature that when we transfer the design to the CAM side, there's another software, and we have a milling simulation that we can add to any design or any project where it'll tell us if the restoration will actually mill out. Now, it's not 100% successful. We do that for all of our cases, and sometimes we get a restoration that breaks or doesn't survive the milling process, or it falls off its sprue and is at the bottom of the milling chamber. But overall, it's a very helpful feature, and it's just not 100%.
That kind of brought something in my mind to pivot to here with the rise of zirconia, because the one challenge we've had in our practice with the CAD CAM, our crown seat appointments are generally about half as long, because once we got dialed in with you guys as far as what kind of occlusion we would like and what kind of contacts we would like, we do very little adjusting, assuming the patient hadn't lost their temporary or whatever. But one issue we have had, and I noticed that recently y'all actually sent some cement out, but we have had some issues with retention on zirconia restorations. And we do all the things. I subscribe to Gordon Christensen, so we follow all the protocols, cleaning and all the priming and everything, but we still occasionally have cases where we do have retention issues with zirconia. Are you seeing that across the board, or is it just something that possibly we're doing wrong?
Oh, I mean, it's always been the issue with the monolithic zirconia, and that's why we started giving out the ZRC and the ZRP, which is a cleanser and a primer, just as another tool for you guys to use to help increase the bond strength. Zirconia is such a dense material. Adjusting on the intaglio is very challenging. If it's an overall retention issue, there's some things we can do on the lab side. I can reduce your cement gap setting from our 40 microns to 20. We can reduce the setting at the margin, which is just the apical 1 to 2 millimeters. I can reduce that to 5 or 10. There's some things that we can do to increase the retentive level of your zirconia restorations in the design software.
Yeah, and it's also to me because it also has made me as a dentist return to some of the older school prep designs, putting in boxes for retention and that kind of stuff to add some resistance and add some retention and to go back to some of the old gold casting design things that hopefully will help. But it's one of those things where, let's be honest, we've only been really working this a few years. And so you really don't know how good your retention is till you get 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Exactly. For most of your restorations, you're still prescribing EMAX. And are you doing a bonded delivery or conventional cementation?
We do both. So yesterday, I think we had before lunch yesterday, I think we put on 5 or 6 crowns, and I'll be honest, everyone was probably something different. We had an upper first molar that had 6 millimeter walls because they had recession, and I told the girls, hey, we can put that on with bubble gum and it ain't coming off of there. And then on the flip side, we actually had, and this was an interesting case, we actually had my mom, who lives about an hour away. She had a zirconia crown that she called me and said it had come off. It wasn't bothering her. And so I actually resent her file to you guys, and I said, hey, let's make this thing an EMAX so that when she comes in, we can bond it. In her case yesterday, we bonded hers on. And so it just goes on a case by case basis. Depends if the tooth has a root canal, depends if we have to get the patient numb, depends the retention of the crown. A lot of times, honestly, too, it depends on, have we paralleled up the adjacent teeth? Because sometimes you get a little added retention from that, and then you don't have to, in my mind, go through the bonding process. But I'm sure
you hit on 10 pearls right there that I'm going to chop up, and we're going to use these as sound bites to practicing successful dentistry. That was brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant right there.
Don't assume too much about me there, Bob.
No, you're almost one of our originals. When did you start using us? Can you recall?
We worked in a DSO. Oh, not back then when we came out of school, there was no such thing as DSOs. They were actually small corporate practices. And so back in about 2002, 2003, when we came out, and then we actually moved to Llano and bought our practice in 2004, 2005, somewhere there. And you guys were we started using you guys when we first moved out here. I don't want to even say how many years that is, but it looks like it's coming up on 20.
I was going to say, and the lab's been in business for 20 years. You've been with us very early on, and I'm going to share a stat with you. You are in what I call the top 5% of customers that, in terms of sending cases back to us where we have to either remake or make adjustments to it. Your work is brilliant. Your work goes in. And to us, that's efficiency right there. And that's what I look for in a top 5 customer.
Probably taking all my wife's good crowns into consideration for that.
Come on.
I
thought your wife's
mine are probably the ones that have to be redone.
No. I thought your wife is an orthodontist.
No, she's actually a general dentist.
Okay, my mistake.
But you're right in the fact that our practice has evolved to where she's just so busy with orthodontics that she really doesn't do much restorative. She gave up removable a long time ago, and she does some restorative, some cosmetic, but she's so busy seeing kids. And we're in that natural stage where obviously our kids have just gone through the age where all their friends need braces, and we're in a small town and we're the only ones that really do braces. We just got overwhelmed to where that's 90% of her practice is definitely orthodontic. So you were right, but she does do an occasional crown or veneer case here and there.
Cool. That's a brilliant model. And yeah, it's fun having kids that are in the high school age. I have a daughter that's into college now, and my he's a freshman at Mater Dei. They have their first playoff game for football tonight. Who do you guys move on to next week to take on?
So we defeated the Catula Cowboys last night, and we move on to face Goliad. I'm not even sure what their mascot is, but we're not quite as big and powerful as Mater Day. We're in the 3A level here, and
Okay.
Texas has basically 7 levels of football, starting out with 6-man football, which is the really small schools, all the way up to 6A, which is the gigantic 3, 4, 5,000 student schools.
Sure.
And we're right in the middle. Our high school has 700-800 kids. We're in the 3A level, but we're having a really good season. I know Mater Day, they're used to having a really good season, but our team's 11-0, and it's a
That's
real
awesome.
fun year. And in a small town, it's even more fun. It was interesting last night. We went to eat dinner on the way to the game, and everybody in the restaurant in the town we were playing in was wearing black and orange. It was all Llano people.
That's
So
awesome.
it helps the community. It's a good sense of camaraderie, and it bleeds into kind of like they say in college football, the football program is the front porch of your university. In Texas, the football program can be the front porch of your community. And when they're successful, guess what? The volleyball team makes the playoffs. And then next thing you know is that the girls basketball team and the boys basketball team are thinking they're going to have a good year because everybody's excited and positive and on the same winning page.
Absolutely. It's such a sense of community. And high school football in Texas is like a religion. And it's awesome to see. And we're not quite at that level here in California. There's some good teams, but the way you guys have embraced the football culture is brilliant. Because I played a little bit, but it's not, our regular high schools out here are not at the level that you guys are, for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Someone was telling me we've had this weird dynamic where, believe it or not, ever since the pandemic, we've got people moving to we're in a small town. So we're an hour and a half west of Austin and north of San Antonio. So we're out in the hill country in a small town, but you wouldn't believe the number of people the new patients that we have that are coming from Oregon and Washington and Napa Valley. And it's insane. And I had a patient the other day just telling me how amazed they were because they went to a high school football game and they just couldn't believe the pomp and circumstance. And we're not even one of the big schools. And they were just so blown away with how fun and exciting the experience was because of the way Texas is about football. So it's
I
definitely
love
a cool thing.
I loved it. I was in Frisco last June and in Houston just a couple weeks ago for the ADA. And then just on your drive from the airport really to your hotel where you're staying, you drive by these high school stadiums and they're massive. And they're brilliant too. They're state of the art. And it's just so great to see, not just the investment, but the sense of pride that the community gets around high school football. It's wonderful to see.
Yes, sir. So your son play at Mater Day or?
So he plays soccer.
Okay.
And he's got obviously he has a lot of friends that play football. He's in a math class with the starting running back. He's got another class with offensive linemen. The kid's 6'5", 340. I'm like, whoa, geez, that's 3 kids almost. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, they've got quite a team and quite a history. And we just found out that the coach yesterday announced that he's finally going to retire. I don't know how many years he's been there, but he's really built the program. He's the face of the program, and it's going to be quite a change next year. But Coach Rawlinson is finally going to hang him up. He's had a wonderful career, brilliant career, mentored so many kids, just not only in football, but how to be a good young man. And yeah, it's going to be a shock to see him go for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things about, and the thing that gets overlooked. Texas is football crazy, but what people do overlook is exactly what you're saying: is what an impact those coaches make in kids' lives, and really change the course of a lot of kids' lives just being a part of it.
Definitely. And you've coached as well, right?
Man, I've done a little bit of everything. Yes, sir. I've never been paid to be a coach, but my family loves to give me a hard time because every game we go to, it seems like someone walks up to me and starts talking to me, assuming that I'm a coach because of the way I'm dressed. And so it's a fun time. But yeah, when my kids were little, one of the advantages of being in a small town was that I got to be their coach across the board for everything, whether it was youth football or little league or volleyball. And man, If you've ever tried to coach a third grade girls basketball team, you'll learn a lot about yourself. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I had to fill in for a basketball coach. I think my daughter was maybe 6th grade, 7th grade. I can't quite recall, but I remember she gave up soccer and she said, Dad, there's just too much running in soccer. I don't want to play soccer anymore. I said, okay, no problem. What sport would you like to try next? And she said, basketball. And I said, dear, there's running at basketball. There's quite a bit of running. But so the game I coached, I think they barely hit double digits in points. So
Yeah, it was a fun experience. Girls are so fun to coach, and it's just the difference between girls and boys, because girls are so easy to coach because they will do exactly what you tell them to do, exactly how you tell them to do it. The only problem is they don't go off script. Like, they will literally be standing under the basket with the ball, but they will pass it out because that's what the play was supposed to do.
yes.
Whereas boys are the total opposite. You have to yell and kick and scream and do whatever you can to get them to follow the rules. But if they get half a step to go off script, they're gonna do it. It was a great experience, and like I said, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I've got to develop a lot of friendships with those kids that my kids hang out with and all that kind of stuff. So it's
That's so
certainly
cool. And you learn
certainly worth the time.
and you learn a lot about yourself when you're coaching young children, don't you?
Let's just say it does develop patience, but it's honestly, it's not the children that teach you the patience. It tends to be some of the parents of the children that teach you a little more of the patience.
Yep, I agree. Wow. Dr. Parrish, you have been so generous with your time. I've learned so much today. I know that the Dental Up podcast audience is going to learn an immense amount from you from listening to this episode. I want to thank you and your wife for being our original customers, loyal customers throughout our 20-year history of this laboratory. And anything that we can do to help you, just know that you have a team here at Keating that is willing to support you in whatever future endeavor you guys take. I want to wish you and your family all the best for this upcoming Thanksgiving and holiday season. And again, just thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Dental Up podcast today.
You're welcome, man. It was fun. You have a good weekend, and good luck to Mater Day against the Lions.
Yeah, and good luck to you guys as well. And we'll touch base next weekend and we'll discuss next opponents.
All right. Thanks, Bob. You have a good one.
Take care, Dr. Parrish. Be well.
All right. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Dental Up podcast, your daily source for insights from dentists and leaders in the industry. This episode is sponsored by Keating Dental Lab, here to add value to your dental practice. With high-quality restorations, friendly, reliable service, the best products and prices, come experience the Keating difference. Visit KeatingDentalLab.com for details.